Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Sarah Mills, whose business is called The Art of Winning, is an independent Arbonne consultant and also one of the founders of Women on Winning, a worldwide network of businesswomen. She is passionate about networking, which has led to all sorts of opportunities and even awards. Thank you very much for being my guest on the podcast today, Sarah.
Yay, great to be here, Liz.
Now, I think it's fair to say that you wear a few different hats, including being an independent consultant for Arbonne and running a network of wonderful women. But I wanted to dig into your background first. What did you train in, Sarah? What did you want to be when you were younger?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll do that as quick as possible. What I wanted to be when I was probably about 6 years old was an actress, but I was far too shy to do that. But I actually started out as an illustrator. So I trained in graphic design and, became an illustrator working actually between America and a bit in China and stuff. So quite interesting. But then I segued into sort of marketing, launching household names in London agencies. But I've always been curious about new ideas and better ways of living and working.
Yeah.
So that's when I got the chance to build a sort of purpose-led side hustle alongside my full-time career. I kind of jumped in and never looked back. And that one decision changed everything, really, for the trajectory of my life.
Yeah. So how long had you been employed before you started to look at being self-employed?
Okay, so I had been employed probably for 15 years before that.
So quite a big change then to go from, having, relying on somebody else to, give you that paycheck at the end of the month to being totally self-reliant.
Yeah, I think I got it easy though, because, when you align with brands like Arbonne that have already got amazing frameworks set up, it's not like you're just thinking, oh, what shall I do as a business? And having to start from scratch. I mean, I have been entrepreneurial in my very early days when I was a graphic designer, selling T-shirts and all sorts of things with my husband when we were at uni. But I felt like it was a very gentle ease into entrepreneurship, to be fair, because I ran my side hustle with Arbonne alongside my full-time career for 2 years.
Right.
So it was a very gentle, it wasn't like I'm giving up my job. What am I going to do? I'm going to build my own business. It was a very gentle segue. And I think that's where, when you can build, if you can build alongside a framework that's already set in place for you, it can be a really nice introduction to business ownership and entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So how did you discover Arbonne in the first place?
Through a friend that I was at uni with. So, I was kind of a bit of a stressed out corporate mum working in London, on the corporate train to London, out my house for 12 hours a day. And a friend just basically said, she rang me up and said, I've started something new. I'd love you to look at it with me. And I took a look at the company and its history, and I thought, I've got no idea what this is all about. But I kind of, I'm into health and wellness. I like marketing. And I just thought, how hard can it be? So I was introduced through a friend, and that's know me, like me, trust me speaks for a lot, doesn't it? So I looked into the company, liked what I saw. It was all very, very well established in other countries, and it just was coming to the UK. So I just thought, I'm going to be washing my hair and taking a shower for the rest of my life. Why don't I use these gorgeous health and wellbeing products instead of something else? So yeah, it was a bit of a no-brainer, really.
Yeah. So tell me something about the Arbonne brand and the products and so on, just in case people have not heard of it.
Yes. So as you've alluded to, I am a passionate brand ambassador with Arbonne. It's a global B Corporation. And if people don't know what B Corporations are, there's about 9,000 B Corps in the world, and they are basically companies that are absolutely driven and passionate to balance people, planet and profit in equal balance. Yeah. So, they're very forward-thinking companies. But we are one of the world's leading global health and wellness brands. We're vegan certified, we're PETA certified, we're gluten-free. We everything we do is really about, is this going to leave the lightest footprint on the planet? And is it also going to give results to the people that are using it in a health healthy, beneficial ways. That's everything from skincare, nutrition, baby care. It's all the products that everybody's already using. It's just we don't do any traditional forms of marketing and advertising. So, people don't always know about us. But I'm so glad I came across it, and I've been using it, as I say, for the last 17 years, I think now. But yeah, a fabulous brand, and just check out Arbonne and B corporations, and it really validates the brand and the business by doing that.
Yeah. So was networking something that you did in your corporate career before you became self-employed, or not?
Was networking? Well, schmoozing clients, does that count as networking? I guess so. I think I've always been a people person. And so I've just realised, you've got to build the relationship first. I really, really do believe that. And, blending networking alongside then thinking, okay, what's my brand? What do I believe in? Obviously, mine's all about well-being, work and freedom in those kind of measures. And I do like to say helping people to activate their win. And the win is like well-being first, income with impact. What can you do that can create income with impact? And then networks that create real connections. So, when you align those three things, you create a life that's really, really sustainable and exciting. And I've always believed in the power of, we all have amazing connections, or a lot of us do. Why wouldn't we want to share those with other people? So I wasn't doing networking in the same way that I would be now, because I was representing, my clients, and being employed is a totally different mindset for me than it was from building networks. But having said that, if I was an employee and I was at an event and I wanted to, make a good impact for my company, then I would talk to those potential clients, find out what they do, what interests them, what they love. So it is all connected. You've just got to ask questions. Questions are the answers.
Yeah. So we'll talk about Women on Winning in a minute. But prior to that, you were a group leader, weren't you, for Successful Women in Business? How did that come about?
Yes, I was. That came about because it goes back to networking. I've moved around the country quite a lot, lived in Surrey, then moved to Dorset, now I'm up in Newcastle. And what I realised was that you can, if you're in business, which I was at the time when I moved to Dorset and then found Successful Women in Business, thank you to the amazing Jill Donald-Smith for introducing me to that, I thought, I've got no friends, I don't know anyone when I moved here, apart from my husband and my son. What's the best way to make friends is to go networking.
Yeah.
So I literally put women's networking in Dorset, up came Successful Women in Business, and the rest is history, really. I went and had a coffee with the founder. We got chatting. I said I'd already been part of something called Business Biscotti, which was another networking company, a national one, years ago. And she said, oh, why don't you just come along? So I went along, met loads of other women. Some of those people are still my friends, best friends, 10 years later. And yeah, so I ended up running one of the events down in Weymouth for her, and yeah, that was really the start of how it all worked. Did lots of stuff with International Women's Day, and then realised that empowering women and women feeling like I deserve everything that I deserve and going for it has just become a bit of a passion now.
Yeah. So tell me about Women on Winning and how that got started.
So that was really, the Successful Women in Business was really a catalyst for that, because I was doing that from 2014 to about 2018 or 2019. And I think Jill was potentially looking at maybe retiring and asked me if I wanted to take over the Successful Women in Business, which I thought, to be fair, I'm building my Arbonne business. That's my main passion. I don't really want another distraction, so to speak. But I did set up the Weymouth Women's Successful Women in Business. But that was only about a year before we went into lockdown.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Newcastle. So I couldn't do it in person.
Yeah.
So I took everything online. And then I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to set on my own version of, women's networking. Because I wanted to bring the North and South together, because I had loads of friends in Dorset. I had loads of new friends in Newcastle, and I'm thinking, right, let's do it.
Yeah.
So one of the women I met, Successful Women in Business, called Donna Emery, the digital doctor, we became friends. And I had this idea, and she was the implementer of making it happen, really. That's when you found a great crew.
Yeah.
And you find someone that got the vision, and then someone that can implement it. So, yeah, we started WOW, Successful Women in Business, in February 2022, and it's been growing ever since.
So how does WOW work? What does it do?
what does WOW do? WOW brings women together who want to talk about what they do, collaborate, connect. I do say in a fun, feisty way, I really want people to feel empowered. I want them to feel like, they're personally developed. So yeah, come and share what you do, whether you work in business, whether you're an employee or you're just starting out, or you've been a successful business person for I don't know, 60 years. Just come and join us. We always have a guest speaker. We talk about empowerment. I talk about personal development. We have amazing guest speakers that come every single month, and they share their inspiration and education, and we connect. And my biggest thing from that is it's only a snapshot when you arrive in a networking group, specifically online. You need to build that real connection and that real collaboration. Yeah. So you need to have that virtual cuppa afterwards. You need to go and meet that person for real or online, and find out if there is something going forward as a relationship you can build together, either as a friendship or as a business relationship.
Yeah. So who are your members? What kind of backgrounds are they from? What kind of jobs are they doing?
Oh gosh, everything from being in finance, being in law, being coaches, being mentors, being in well-being, being graphic designers, being photographers. I mean, if you think about all of the things that you need, if you're running a business, what are all the different components that you need to bring that together? You need someone to do your photography, your social media. So there's somebody there that can help you with everything that you're doing. And, wonderful collaborations have come out of it. People have started podcasts and all sorts of things. So, it's a wonderful little legacy.
Yeah. And where are your members? You mentioned you wanted to bring the North and the South together. Has it gone even further than that?
Yes, it has. Yes, we've got people that come from Portugal, Turkey, America, Australia, all around really. It's just grown, and I think that's what I absolutely love about online connecting. And I know some people, when I talk to them, and nothing beats a face-to-face, but I don't think we need to say it's either or.
No,
they are equally as beautiful as each other. Yes, it's easier to talk to someone maybe in person one-to-one, or in a group of 5 people standing in a nice hotel or in a coffee shop, because you can banter amongst each other. That is slightly more difficult to banter in that way on a Zoom. But you can still build incredible relationships. You can take your brand and your business and your passion across the world when you do that. So I'm an absolute equal advocate for both.
Yeah. So tell me about a typical meeting. If someone was coming along for the first time, what can they expect from a WOW meeting?
What can they expect? Well, there will always be a little short intro from myself or Donna. It might be a top tip of the month, or where we've been, or what we're doing, or maybe we've been to an event and we're sharing something about. I'm a major mindset and personal development, passionate advocate and mentor. It might be about leadership, but that's just a quick little intro. And then we just whiz around the Zoom room, and everybody gets a few seconds to tell us what they do, quickly and concisely, because that's the other key, I think. You need to be able to deliver what you're going to say in a way that someone just thinks, at some point, I want you to tell me more. Yeah. I don't need to hear it all now. You just need to create that intrigue, I think. So we do that. Then we have a guest speaker on their specialist subject. And obviously that's an opportunity if they've got an event coming up or a course to share, but it's also more about them sharing education and inspiration about their area of expertise that can educate and inspire us. Then we go into breakout rooms, so we get to meet other people for about 15 minutes, and then we have a quick roundup. I mean, it's all within an hour and 15 minutes. And then, there's a follow-up that comes out with the recording, and people join the community when they subscribe to WOW. They join the community, and there's always gaps for spaces for women who would love to come and be a guest speaker. Yeah, and share it with other women.
Brilliant. So how many members do you have at the moment?
I think we have about 300 subscribers, and I can honestly say I'm very glad that 300 people don't come on the Zoom every week. Yeah, that would be completely unmanageable. But there's normally between 15 and 25 people. It's a perfect number. Yeah, and always the right people turn up. So I get lots of people saying, "Oh, I'm sorry I couldn't come this week," but another 15 people or 20 people come. So it's always the right amount of people.
Yeah, and how do you time your meetings if you've got people in all different parts of the world?
Well, I just did it, to be fair. It started off selfishly because originally it was I like to do stuff in the morning. That's when I'm most fired up. And so it's a 9:30 till 10:45 UK time. So we did have a couple of people that came from the States, but it was about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always work in that respect. But it's very hard to find something that works for everybody.
Yeah, it is. So tell me what people have been getting from coming to your WOW network.
I think they build experts. They build expertise amongst each other. So lots of people will do exchanges of expertise amongst themselves. Somebody will think, oh my gosh, I'm really good at this and you're really good at that. Can you do my books for me and I'll give you a lesson in confidence? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's been all these wonderful connections created. A friend of mine that's now published a couple of books. She's met people through that have inspired her with areas of building what she was building through her book. She's been able to help other people that are maybe looking at become published authors. So the network is, I think a lot of people go networking and then immediately think, oh, well, I didn't get anything out of that, so I'm not going to bother again. But you've got to put the time in. You've got to be genuine. And the relationships that come from that are really passionate. I think you need to make friends first. You need to think, do I like this person? Could we get on? Could we do something together? Unless you've got something. Obviously, some people I will talk about what I do with health and wellness and talk about, maybe you want to create more energy. Would you like a 30 days healthy living, fresh start? So some people will immediately come to me and go, oh my gosh, you said you had something to have more energy. What have you got? And I said, well, you can try one of my energy fizz sticks. But they already want something that I'm buying, so I don't need to sell anything.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
But when it comes to just generally, you need to build that relationship first, have that one-to-one, and then you'll find out, So business has come. As I say, podcasts have been created. People will have definitely done business with each other. They will have gone on each other's courses. And they will have shouted, posted their stuff on LinkedIn and just shared things. So it's all increasing your network, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know that you're also a rocket launcher mentor. Tell me about that.
Do you know what? If I was ever going to be a mentor, wouldn't I love to be called a rocket launcher mentor?
That's brilliant.
I've always wanted to go in a spaceship and drink. I've always wanted to go in a rocket and drink champagne in space. So, so there is an amazing charity in London called Launch It. And it has been around, I think, for at least 25 years. And it's all to do with launching entrepreneurs' businesses, but also finding physical spaces for them to work in. So whether they're a fashion designer or a photographer. And I have been a voluntary mentor with them for about a year and a half. I was contacted through an event I was at in London. I don't know, they scanned my QR code and thought, oh, she does speaking and mentoring and stuff. So I basically mentor, I have one currently, you work with one mentor over a period of time, who's a sustainable fashion designer, which is wonderful. Also happens to be a vegan gal like myself. So Launch It is the most amazing organisation. They do have pods now growing all around the country, up in Scotland, I think in the Midlands. But they're just a wonderful organisation that really comes down to the basis of what I believe is you've got to find your inner belief, find your inner confidence, go for it, and then just, apply, as Sarah Mills likes to say, the art of winning to it. Just win what you're doing,
Yeah. Tell me about the award that you won as North East Startup for Social Impact.
Oh, gosh. Yes, that was in 2023. So I just moved here about a year before. And because this is another thing, get out there and network. Go to the places where there are groups and people where you can meet. I met an organisation called First, who take people maybe from employment into entrepreneurship. They've got funding to help all sorts of people in the North East. And I met one of their, the guy that goes out there and tells people about First. And he just mentioned to me at a networking event, oh, I know you talk about Sarah Mills, the art of winning. I know you talk about, well-being first and creating income with impact and, networks that can create real connections. By the way, that is my WIN acronym, if you hadn't worked that one out.
Yeah.
And he said, why didn't you apply for our Startup Awards? And I'm like, well, I've already had a business for however many years. And every time I saw him, it was like, come on, you'd be great, just apply. And I thought, what have I got to lose?
Yeah.
And I wasn't looking really for the award or anything like that. And some people will say, oh, you don't need an award and you don't need this. But do you know what? What happens from that is I applied for the award, I became one of the finalists, and I won the award in the social impact section. And the prizes were some mentoring. This wasn't it wasn't a cruise to the Bahamas or anything. But what I would say is what it did was it gives you more visibility.
Yes.
By validation of it.
Yeah.
So because of that North East Startup winning award that I won, that's what Launch It saw when they scanned my QR code, because it said I was interested in businesses with social impact, and that's what they're doing. So if I hadn't have won that, I might not have got that lead.
Yeah. It's all a network, isn't it? It all fits together.
It's all an amazing network. It really is.
So my final question then, Sarah, if people want to know more about you, the art of winning, Arbonne, or anything else we've talked about this morning, what is the best place for them to find you?
The best place to find me is on my Linktree, which is The Art of Winning, on LinkedIn, which is Sarah Mills, in brackets, has got it, because there are a lot of Sarah Mills out there. There really are. sarahmills.arbonne.com could not be more simple as my website. So those are the main places that I'm on and I can be found on. And, come and talk to me. I'm really passionate about showing people how to create lifestyle businesses. And there's more and more talk at the moment in the media about, the 9 to 5 being dead, and people are looking for other side hustles and other ways to win and work. And I've been doing that very successfully for the last 15 years. So, if you think something's not quite right, or you'd like that extra bit of income or that extra connection or community, I haven't found a better community myself than working with, obviously, the extraordinary B Corporation that is Arbonne, which is all about, empowering people to flourish with sustainable, healthy living. So when we can do that, I really do believe we can win at whatever we're doing. So, that's how you can find me, and I love to be connected with you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for being my guest, and keep on winning, Sarah.
Thank you. Win, win, win.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.